In today's beginner-friendly video, we'll explore 4 ways to improve your cut quality and to achieve a cleaner cut while using a router. Plus, towards the end of the video, I'll cover router burn, which is those blackened marks that are left behind after the bit passes over the wood. The first issue that can arise is a bit malfunction, and if anything is going to go wrong 9 times out of 10, it's going to be with a guide bearing. Guide bearings can simply wear out, become hard to turn, start making noises, heat up, and or leave marks on the edge of the wood. Leaving a bearing mark could also be user error, and in that case, lightening up on the amount of pressure against the edge of the work could help. In addition, some bearings can come loose and even fall off. And this has only happened to me once in the 20+ years of working with wood, so it's not common, but it can happen. And that's why it's always a good idea to check the bearing from time to time to make sure that they're spinning freely and that the screw that holds them in place is secure. The second issue related to poor cut quality is the design of the router bit itself. Some router bits will simply just outperform others, and that old saying still holds true to some degree. You get what you pay for. But even with high quality bits, you can have 2 bits that basically perform the same task, but one will drastically outperform the other one. Again, even within the same quality and same manufacturer. The best example I have is the Whiteside 1/2" cutter and this Whiteside 1/2" spiral straight cutter. Both are made to cut grooves, dados, holes, and mortises, but because of the spiral design of this bit, it outperforms the other bit hands down. I do want to mention that I'm not saying that you need high-end quality woodworking bits to build anything of quality, because I'm not. But you will find at some point in your growth as a woodworker that certain projects with certain woods will require higher-end bits. The third issue that could affect the quality of your cut is bit chatter. Now, back in chapter 2, we did talk about bit chatter, which again is when the bit shakes or makes little jumps as it cuts down the edge of the work. Now, if it gets too bad, it can actually leave these big scalloping marks as it works its way down the edge. Bit chatter can be caused by many different things. Let's look at 5 possible reasons. The first one is that you may be trying to take too much material off in one pass. And I know you've heard this before a few times already in this course, but it is a very common mistake that can fix a multitude of issues. As before, to fix this, simply reduce the amount of material you take off with each pass. Number 2, you may have the bit out too far in the collet. This could allow the bit to flex under heavy load, which then could cause the bit to chatter. This too has an easy fix. Simply loosen the collet, slide the bit further down, and tighten the collet back up. Number 3 is because of a dull bit. Dull bits have a very hard time cutting, which means that they not only build up heat, but they can chatter. They also tend to make more sawdust rather than wood chips or shavings like we previously discussed. Dull bits have an easy fix as well, and now you know how. Number 4, bit chatter can be caused by too much dust or chips in the groove or hole you're cutting. This really comes into play when you're using straight cutters for deep dados and grooves. With the regular straight cutter, sometimes the bit has a hard time removing the waste material from out of the trench, which then causes the bit to chatter because it's not only cutting new chips, but it's also trying to deal with the old ones as well. That's why for deep cuts, using an upcut spiral bit will outperform the standard bit simply because the spiral bit is designed to better lift the material out of the trench. If this is your issue, the fix could be as easy as switching to a spiral bit or using some good dust collection. And number 5, your routing direction could be wrong. Climb cuts can often lead to bit chatter, as we discussed, especially if you're taking a large amount off with each pass. So the fix would be to simply change your routing direction. Hopefully by now you're starting to see a lot of overlap and you're seeing the importance of proper bit selection, proper routing techniques, and proper maintenance fixes a lot of issues. The fourth and final thing that can be causing you to have bad cut quality is grain direction. Now, to better understand grain direction, let's head off to the bench where I have a piece of board for us to look at. If I highlight the grain with a marker, you can see that the grain is actually moving off the board in this direction. It helps to think of grain as individual pieces or multiple layers stacked on top of each other. Meaning, if I was able to get my nail under one of these layers, I could peel it back. Which also means that a spinning router bit could pull back these layers as well, creating what is called tear out. For example, if we were to route this board in a counterclockwise direction to make a push cut, as the bit rotates in a clockwise direction, the bit could grab some of those fibers and lift them from the edge. However, if we change that direction to a climb cut for this specific grain, the wood router would not be lifting the fibers, but would rather be compressing them into the wood, creating a cleaner cut. And that's why earlier in this course I mentioned that some experienced woodworkers actually choose to make a climb cut over a push cut, and it's for this very reason. Some woods are just extremely figured, meaning that the grain runs in multiple different directions, so choosing to make that climb cut is because of the grain direction. But for most beginner new woodworkers, this will not be an issue, or at least an issue that can't be simply fixed by making a light cleanup pass or some light sanding. In this last section, let's look at router burn, those blackened marks that are left behind as the bit passes over the wood. Burning wood and blackened router bits are a common issue for beginners, and they're normally caused by dull or dirty bits or user error. Now, let's first start talking about the dull and dirty causes first. Regular cleaning to remove the buildup of resin or pitch is very important. As that resin builds up around the cutting surfaces, it increases the friction, which increases the temperature and, you guessed it, burns the wood. It may also leave the router bit looking black, again because of the significant heat that is produced as the bit cuts. Again, this is an easy fix. All you have to do is give that bit a good cleaning, which will reduce the amount of heat buildup. Dull bits can also increase temperature. That's why it's really important to do your regular maintenance sharpening just to keep those temperatures down. Now, if you've done your cleaning and you've done your sharpening and you're still getting router burn, let me make these few suggestions about how you're using your router. Heat increases when your bit speed is high and your feed rate is too low. While the bit is turning at high speeds, if you allow the bit to stay in the same place too long, the wood could heat up and leave behind a burn mark. For example, back in chapter 3, I demonstrated edge routing, and because I was taking the time to teach and allow the camera to catch up, the bit stayed in one place too long and left a small router burn. A good general rule to fix this is to increase your feed rate and lower the bit speed. The other thing that really helps is to make shallower passes. Overloading the router can definitely increase your chances or your odds of getting router burn. Sometimes, however, no matter what you do, router burn still happens. Certain woods like maple and cherry and some pine are really prone to router burn. So if this is still happening for you, there is yet one more resolve, and that is to make a shallow cleanup pass. A cleanup pass is when you make a very light pass just to remove the burn marks that are left behind. This is easily done by using the fine adjustment knobs we already learned about to lower the bit ever so slightly. This will almost always work no matter what. Well, that's it for today's video. If you're eager to learn more about routers, like how to sharpen the bits and to dive more into great router projects, then I invite you to join my beginner-friendly online community. You'll get full access to my 3+ hour router course and connect with a group of passionate, like-minded woodworkers looking to grow their skills. It's also a perfect place for you to get personalized guidance from me. If you're interested, check out the link below to learn more. Thank you for watching today. I'll see you all in the next video.